ancient astronauts, did they shape our civilizations? Hi, everyone, it's me, the Baghdad Battery. Archaeologists discovered an ancient artifact in Iraq that has left scientists baffled for over a century. It's called the Baghdad Battery, and it's been studied by some of the most brilliant minds in the world. But no one can agree on what it is or how to categorize it. The artifact is actually a collection of clay jars, each containing a copper cylinder and a metal pin that looks remarkably similar to the negative terminal of a modern battery. It was found in the ancient Mesopotamian city of Baghdad in 1936, hence its name. This is the same place where archaeologists have unearthed some of humanity's oldest pieces of writing, including the Epic of Gilgamesh, which tells the story of the Great Flood. But there are three problems with the Baghdad Battery. First, we don't know exactly how old it is. Experts believe it dates back to somewhere between 250 BC and 750 AD, but they aren't sure. Second, we don't know why it was made. And third, we don't know if it was actually used as a battery. Researchers at Yale University performed tests on the clay jars and determined that they were sealed using natural asphalt. If this is true, then it would prove that people in Mesopotamia knew how to work with asphalt. But it could also prove that they were trying to contain something powerful inside the jars. There is evidence that the metal pins were placed in the jars after the asphalt had hardened, meaning they would have had to drill a hole through the clay while it was still wet and shape it perfectly in order to get a good seal when it dried. This implies a level of sophistication that seems out of place with the rest of the artifacts found in the area. Some scholars have suggested that these jars were not batteries at all, but simply containers for perfumes or cosmetics. However, other researchers argue that this theory doesn't take into account the presence of copper, which is highly conductive. In fact, it's so conductive that the metal pins may have corroded due to an electrical reaction. What's more, it seems unlikely that anyone would want to put perfume next to an object that is actively rusting. One researcher who believes that the Baghdad Battery was actually a battery is Michael Cremo. He believes that the jars functioned as capacitors and that the copper cylinders were connected to external wires to make electrical connections. He says that people in ancient Mesopotamia had developed a sophisticated understanding of electricity and that they may have used it for everything from medical treatments to weapons. This raises an interesting question. What if the ancients knew more about science and technology than we give them credit for? What if they had developed technologies that we can't even imagine? If they did, then it's possible that they were using electrical currents to power devices that we would recognize as advanced. Number 9. Alien cave paintings. A team of explorers recently discovered a series of mysterious cave paintings in Spain that date back at least 40,000 years. The paintings depict strange humanoid figures with large eyes and small mouths. They appear to be watching over smaller human figures who seem to be performing religious rituals. Experts are baffled because the paintings don't fit in with any known culture or time period. There are no other artifacts in the cave, which suggests that the people who made the paintings did not leave behind any other evidence of their existence. And yet the paintings themselves are incredibly detailed and show a level of sophistication that seems out of place in a cave. Some experts believe that the paintings are evidence of an ancient civilization that lived in Europe before the Neanderthals. This is known as the pre-Neanderthal hypothesis, and it proposes that Homo sapiens arrived in Europe from Africa at least 50,000 years earlier than previously thought. However, mainstream archaeologists reject this theory because they believe that the Neanderthals were the only hominids that ever made it to Europe. But what if the Neanderthals weren't the only ones? What if there were other hominid species that we haven't even discovered yet? It's possible that these species had a profound impact on human history, but their influence has been erased by time. Maybe they were wiped out by a cataclysmic event, or maybe they interbred with humans and their DNA is still present in our genome. If either of these scenarios is true, then it's possible that the cave paintings depict a group of hominids that no longer exists. Some researchers believe that these enigmatic beings may have been extraterrestrial visitors. This is a controversial theory, but it's supported by some of the most respected names in the field of archaeology. For example, Graham Hancock believes that the cave paintings depict ancient astronauts. He argues that extraterrestrials visited Earth in the distant past and interacted with primitive humans. He believes that these interactions had a profound impact on human history. But our understanding of the past has been distorted by mainstream archaeologists who are unwilling to consider the possibility of extraterrestrial life. If Hancock is right, then it is possible that the cave paintings are evidence of a lost civilization that was wiped out by a cataclysmic event. It is also possible that the cave paintings are evidence of a secret society that has managed to hide its presence from the rest of humanity. 8. Ancient technology. There are many artifacts that have been discovered around the world that defy conventional archaeology. These artifacts are so perplexing that mainstream archaeologists will often try to ignore them or explain them away as forgeries. However, there are some artifacts that are so well made and so technologically advanced that it is impossible to deny their existence. One such artifact is the Antikythera mechanism, which is a complex piece of machinery that was found in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece in 1902. The Antikythera mechanism is a bronze frame that contains a series of gears and dials. It's so intricate that it was initially thought to be a modern hoax. But further analysis has revealed that it's at least 2,000 years old. Researchers believe that the mechanism was used to predict astronomical events such as eclipses and the Olympic Games. There's no doubt that the Antikythera mechanism is one of the most sophisticated artifacts ever discovered. But it's just one example of the many ancient technologies that have been unearthed around the world. There are others, like the Baghdad Battery, that suggest that ancient humans were far more advanced than we give them credit for. It's possible that ancient humans developed technologies that we can't even imagine. Perhaps they had mastered the principles of electricity or had developed technologies that would be recognizable as advanced. If either of these scenarios is true, then it's possible that much of human history has been lost or intentionally erased. It's possible that ancient humans had access to technologies that we can't even imagine. If they did, then it is possible that they were able to use these technologies to do things that we would unthink possible. For example, they may have had the ability to travel to other planets, or even other dimensions. We don't know much about the ancient world, and it's likely that we never will. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying to learn as much as we can. Every new discovery, no matter how small, brings us one step closer to understanding the mysteries of the past. And who knows what we might find if we keep digging. Maybe one day we'll uncover evidence of an ancient civilization that was so advanced that we couldn't even begin to understand it. Maybe one day we'll find proof that there are other intelligent species out there in the universe, just waiting to be discovered. Until then, we can marvel at the wonders of the ancient world and wonder what secrets it's still hiding. Thanks for watching. What do you think about the evidence of ancient aliens? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.